There's my record. Yay, I've worked out all the technical bugs. So welcome to the What Works marketing webinar. My name is Elizabeth King. I'm the owner of King PR and Marketing. And today we're going to talk about how to create a marketing strategy. There's a lot to know when it comes to marketing. And so that's really kind of how this whole series came about, is when I was out talking with clients and just talking, networking. A lot of the questions that I always got are, what works when it comes to marketing? Because there's so many options. I mean, do I need social media? Do I need to be sending emails? Do I need online reviews? What is it that I really need to connect with my audience? And I thought, okay, well, let's start talking about what are the different tactics that can be used when it comes to marketing to really connect with your audience. Because most of us are familiar with the traditional ones, but marketing is always changing. So how do we stay up to date on what are the latest trends going on with marketing? And how can you start incorporating some of these things into your own marketing strategy to really create something that is going to be effective for your business? And so today we're just going to jump into basically the basics of how to create a marketing strategy, because communication is very much a process. And it's understanding all the different pieces that you need to have in place to really effectively communicate. So today, what we're going to talk about, we're going to try to understand the difference between branding and marketing. We're going to talk about building your brand and your key messages, how to really develop your goals and your strategies and your tasks, really creating that plan. And then we're going to talk about some of the tools that you can use to implement to stay on track. And then we'll open it up for Q&A at the end as well. I want to be able to answer your questions about how to really do this well. So what is the difference between branding and marketing? These are often interchanged when you talk about branding and marketing, but they really are a little bit different. So a brand it's your name, a term, design, a symbol that really identifies your company from another. But a brand is so much more than that, because a brand is the idea, it's the image that people have in their mind when they think about you, both in the practical terms, but in an emotional way. So if you think about some really famous brands, if you think about Nike, if you think about Southwest Airlines, Harley Davidson, when I say those names, can you picture their customer? Can you picture their stories? Can you picture the emotions that those bring to mind when you think about those brands? I mean, Southwest Airlines makes me laugh with their commercials, with their "Wanna Get Away." They're so catchy, but they're very memorable at the same time. So you're telling a story, and it's your brand identity. And you can really think about, your company identity when it comes to your brand. You're sharing your core values, your community engagement, your unique selling points. It's those things that set you apart from another company. That's your brand. When it comes to marketing, that's really those are the activities, just the process of how you communicate, how you deliver and exchange offerings that have value for customers. Think of these as effective marketing strategies help companies isolate how best to serve their client base while maximizing revenue at the same time. This could be your website or e-commerce. It's your social media, your emails, your videos. It could be radio advertising or any of the different actual tactics when it comes to communicating. It's how you are trying to create value, how you're trying to attract customers, and trying to basically sell your services and create that call to action with your customer base. Those are marketing tactics. So how does this all play together? So I went too far. As I mentioned, marketing or communications really is a process. I call it the 5 keys when I'm working on it, but it's really just the steps that it takes to create an effective communication or marketing plan. So the first part, and a lot of times this is overlooked, is the assessment piece. This is really where you are creating your brand. It's where you're establishing your company identity. You're understanding, why do you do what you do? What sets you apart? What are your core values? It's also taking the time to really understand who your ideal customers are. You know, what are their behaviors? Where do they get their communications? You know, how do they like to be talked to? Do they want email? Do they do, before they come and find you, are they doing online reviews? Are they checking you out? Is it word of mouth and referrals? You know, how are they hearing about you? So really understanding how they want to be communicated with, so that you're not wasting time and money on things that aren't going to work for you. One of the things that frustrates me the most is when people throw marketing at the wall like spaghetti just to see what sticks. And they're like, oh, well, I tried that for 2 weeks and it just didn't work. Well, you know, well, maybe you didn't try it long enough. Maybe it wasn't the right message. Maybe that's not where your people get their information. It can be such a multitude of things of why a marketing tactic doesn't work. But first, you really need to understand, you know, what your customers want and how they want to interact with you. The second part is goal setting. Let's understand, what are your business goals? What are you trying to accomplish for the year? And use marketing to help drive those goals. Marketing should really be taken into smaller chunks. That's where marketing strategy comes in, because you're wanting to try to move the needle in a certain area of those annual business goals. And so say it's driving sales in a certain area of your business for a certain service, and you're focusing your efforts on that for, say, a quarter. Well, within that quarter, you can take time to figure out, okay, well, when I talk on social media with these messages, I get a lot of response. When I talk with these messages, I'm not getting any engagement. Well, then you can figure out, oh, well, this isn't working for me, so let's take that out of the mix. Again, you're not wasting time and money on things that aren't working. So when it comes to the planning phase, this is where you're figuring out, okay, what of those tactics of how your customers like to be engaged with, which ones are really going to work for this strategy? Okay, and that's where you're figuring out what you need. You're picking out the tools for your toolbox for your particular strategy, and then you're creating that game plan. The implementation part is the fun part, where that's when you see you're putting it all out there and you're starting to see what works and what doesn't work. But the 5th key is evaluation. And so often that is overlooked. Just like assessment, people don't spend enough time on the evaluation piece to see, okay, what's working? And this is where people get frustrated. You know, you talk about ROI and, you know, am I getting the results that I want from marketing? Well, did you take the time to really dive in to see, you know, what's working? Again, what messages are working? What tactics are working for you, and just evaluating to make sure that you're tweaking that campaign. I wish I could tell you that communications was an exact science, but it's just not. And so there's a little bit of trial and error involved when you're creating that marketing plan, that marketing strategy that's right for your business. So let's dive into, how do you create your brand? The first key is assessment. And as I mentioned, this is where we're going to start creating your company identity. And the first thing that you need to think about is your why. You know, Simon Sinek really has dialed in on this. You know, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And it's absolutely true. Even if you have the same service as 5 other companies in town, why you do it is going to be a big factor in what attracts your ideal customers. It helps you really examine, you know, what's the driving force? Why did you start the company? Why are you doing this? Yes, we're all in this to make money. And every client that I've ever had, the first thing when I say, so why did you start your business? They're like, well, I want to make money. Well, yeah, that's the end result that we're all looking for with our businesses. But it's more than that. I mean, think about internally, why do you do what you do? What gets you up every morning? What are those driving factors? For me, I love communications and I love teaching. And at the end of the day, I really need to feel like whatever I'm doing is making a difference. And so all of those three things kind of came together into, why did I start my business and why do I do what I do? And, why did I start a webinar? Well, because I want to share what I know with other people. And so that why really gives your company focus and direction. And so when I sent out the information to you yesterday with the details, and one of the things that was included was a little kind of a worksheet to help walk through all of this. And if you didn't have a chance to look at the worksheet yet, I will include it with the follow-up so that you can go through these activities yourself, because you'll see how each one kind of builds on the next one to really create your key messages. So the first thing you need to do is define your why. The next part is understand your core values. What are your organization's beliefs? This kind of helps clarify the identity of the company, really helps you guide your strategies and even your employee and customer interactions. When you do this through the lens of your core values, it really helps you make decisions that align with your company's values. I like to use action verbs when possible. And I try to stick to 3 to 5. I don't like any more than 5 because that just starts to get a little muddy. I actually try to keep it to 3 when I can. So the next activity then would be to really identify your company's core values and what's important to you. So the third part of this is understanding your unique selling points. Your unique selling point really defines your company's unique position in the marketplace. Sometimes people struggle figuring out what makes them unique, especially if you have some similar competitors in the market. Sometimes it's difficult to figure out exactly what it is that makes you stand out. One of the exercises I sometimes use is to look at competitors and identify their strengths and their weaknesses, and then how do you do things differently? Another way, especially when you're trying to write website copy, is to really understand what are your company's, your customers' pain points, and how does your company solve those? The last part is really just to try to take that information and condense what makes your business different and create those unique selling points as key talking points for your business. So the next exercise really would be to identify what are the top 3 to 5 biggest benefits that a client gets from working with you that they couldn't get from somebody else. And I'll show you on the next slide how these 3 things come together to help with your brand. So the next exercise that I would ask you to do is think about your company website. And on most company websites, there's an About Us description. I would like you to take some time to write your key messages or an About Us description, but use your why, use your core values, and your unique selling points, because those are going to be the words that you use to create an About Us. It's why you do what you do. It's the values that you believe in. It's your unique selling points. What makes you different? Those give you great words to use when you're talking about us. It just helps you understand who you are as a company and what your brand is all about. The next thing, once you've created that, you want to make sure that you are consistent with your brand messaging. And so if somebody goes to your website or your social media pages or any collateral materials that you create, that they're seeing the same messages over and over again. And so it creates a cohesive brand for you. The second part of this assessment is understanding your target audience. This could be called your ideal customers. You can say it in many different ways, but who are your customers? Ideal customers are the people who take action to use, buy, and most importantly, these are the people who promote your products and services. These are your raving fans. These are the ones that if you could have 100 of these types of customers, they would change your business fundamentally. These are the people that you're going after. These are the ones that you want to attract to your business. And you could have multiple ideal customers based on the products and services that you offer. And the best part is by targeting, you really get to choose your customers. Because one of the things I hate is when people say, well, everybody is my customer. Well, that's not true at all. Everybody is not your customer. Yes, everybody could benefit from what you offer, but there are specific people that are going to, again, take action to buy and use and promote your products and services. And so think about your current customer base. This is kind of a starting point for you. If you could have a dozen of these types of customers for each of your products and services, who would they be? You know, what age range do they fall in? Where do they live? What's their gender, their income level, their education level? You know, their occupation, even their ethnic background. You know, think about the basic demographics. That's kind of the easy part of it. The second part, which is a little more challenging, is understanding their personal characteristics. So get some people in mind when you're trying to do this exercise. You know, what's their personality like? What are their attitudes and their values and their interests? What's their lifestyle and behavior? What are they doing on the weekends? You know, what are they into? Are they really driven? Are they, you know, we live in Oklahoma, or at least I live in Oklahoma. And so, I mean, we've got our college football, we've got our high school football, we've got, you know, it's deer season right now here. So for some companies, you know, you're looking at sportsmen and those types of people, you can really start to think about who they are and what they do, and not just what they do during the week, but what are they doing during the weekend, to get a well-rounded idea of these people, so that when you are communicating with them, you know where to have your message, you know where to place your message.
So Elizabeth, let me ask a question, because a lot of this looks to me like it's things that you would think of in a B2C environment. How do you see that looking differently in a B2B environment?
You know, it's kind of similar in a B2B environment, just understanding who they are outside of work as well. It's some of those relationships that you are creating with these people. Because I work very much in a B2B environment as well. And so I find that even my own customers start to fall into certain categories with certain behaviors, and that I'm attracted to certain people and to certain types of clients with certain values and certain attitudes, and they're the ones that I work with the best.
I got it.
All right, so the next part of this is to kind of create a customer profile. And I've included this in the worksheet, but it is kind of, as you're going through this exercise, you're going to have somebody in mind that completely captures your ideal customer. And so give them a name, give them an age, you know, what is their income, what's their personality like, their attitudes, their values. Create this customer profile for each one of your ideal customers. One of the things that that will be included in the follow-up email is I have some information about how to do research into your target audience. And so please don't think that this is an easy exercise. This is one of the hardest things to do when it comes to marketing, is understanding your ideal customers. And they also can change over time. So just don't, it's not a one and done type of activity. So every few years, you should probably go back and look at this again to see if your ideal customers have changed, if they've shifted. As your business grows and changes, have your ideal customers changed as well? All right, the next activity in this is to, once you understand who your people are, where do they get their communications? You know, where do they get their information? Do they search websites? Do they like brochures? You know, television and radio ads aren't dead. They're not as prominent just because they're still so pricey, but that could work for your business. Online reviews have become a really big thing. That's why I've touched on that. But do you need to be in magazines or trade publications? Do you need to be doing a podcast or blogs? People get information in very different ways. And so understanding, you know, what do they read? What do they, you know, do they watch TV? Do they stream the internet? How do they research products? All of that information is really valuable when it comes to figuring out what types of marketing tactics are going to work for your business to really communicate and reach those people. All right, let's talk a little bit about goal setting. All right, since we're filming this at the end of the year and getting ready for 2022, have you started thinking about your annual business goals for next year? What do you want to accomplish? Thinking big picture. When we talk about goals, I really like to use the SMARTER method. So you're familiar with the SMART goals, but I like to use SMARTER, ER. So you're adding on at the end. So you've got strategic, measurable, achievable, time bound, but the ER at the end, that's where you evaluate and reset. Going back to that evaluation at the end. So, because when it comes to communications, it's really important to evaluate and reset. So creating your annual goals and then creating marketing goals. So a marketing goal would be a smaller goal to help you achieve that annual goal. It's the how, kind of it's the how you're going to how you're going to help move the needle for that annual goal. Creating that marketing strategy, and then the tasks really are the to-dos. So the next activity that I have for you would be to set your 22 annual goals and then set your Q1 marketing goal. What do you want to achieve in the first 90 days of Q1? And how do you want to measure what success looks like for you? I kind of like this description because with marketing strategies, it doesn't just have to be one strategy. So you can have a goal to achieve XYZ, and you can have strategy A and strategy B to help, or even strategy C to help achieve that goal. And within that strategy, each strategy, you're going to have your tasks that you have to accomplish to make it work. So what does this look like? So you've got your annual goals, your marketing goal, strategy A, and the task to accomplish it, strategy B, the task to accomplish it. And not all tasks are super sexy. Sometimes there's research, sometimes there's making lists. It's not all sending emails. Sometimes it's the to-dos that have to be done to make those things happen as well. I see Camille smiling. She does a podcast and a number of things. So I know she knows all of the grunt work that goes into making some of these things happen. All right, here's an example of a customer that I had last last fall. So her goal was to earn 60,000 in net profits by the end of the year. The problem that she ran into is that she sells gourmet popsicles, and Q4 is always a really hard time for her to sell popsicles. And so we were trying to figure out how to increase revenue because she has a storefront, and how do we increase traffic to help her increase her revenue in Q4. So one of the things that we thought about is was to host give back fundraising events to help drive traffic. Because within 5 miles of her business, her storefront, there were numerous nonprofits and schools. And so it seemed that's where we started. We started within a 5-mile radius of her business, and we reached out to all of those schools and nonprofits. We were sending emails. We designed promotional flyers and social media graphics. And then we built an implementation calendar, which is how we keep on track, or how I like to keep on track for marketing strategies. It's that master calendar. So we go week by week through a campaign, and each week. So we're going to send an email on this day. We're going to follow up with phone calls on this day. We're going to send social media posts on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever that strategy is for you. But I like to have it mapped out so you can stay on track and even plan ahead. Here's just a kind of an example of, it doesn't have to be fancy when it comes to an implementation calendar. It can be something simple. I know that there are a lot of resources online if you want to go out there and look for marketing calendars and social media content calendars. I love to use a social media content calendar. This just helps me, as I said, stay ahead. So I'm writing out, what's the subject? What am I going to write? What's the body copy? What's the image? And then what's the link that I'm going to use? What's the call to action? You can do these in many different ways. And like I said, there's a lot of resources out there that you can download for free that I have found in the past, but they don't have to be fancy. It's whatever you find works best for you. To follow up, for that client, we ended up exceeding what she was wanting to accomplish. And so we hosted 6 give back events, and her Q4 revenue was almost $7,400. So we exceeded what we wanted to accomplish. Then that was just one strategy. She had a couple different strategies for Q4, but that was just strategy A. All right. So I feel like I went through that kind of fast. So I want to open it up at this point to what questions do you have?
I have a quick question on your content calendar. There were a
Yes.
bunch of things on there that said flavor, and I didn't know what that meant.
So that was part of what we used for the gourmet popsicles.
Oh, gotcha.
She had
So a
different
set flavor
that she was highlighting.
Okay, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. Set flavor for this week or this day that's going to be highlighted. Okay, cool. I'm thinking flavor. How do I do that?
I need to add some flavor.
I need to add some flavor. Put that on my calendar. That's right.
I love it. So how can I help you?
Well, if other people don't have questions, I'll keep asking.
Okay.
So if going back to the branding concept, when you want people to know who you are, what kind of things might you share on social media or in your emails that show what you are without just saying, hey, this is what I am? Or do you just do that? I don't know. What are some examples, I guess, of how you can convey who you are without just going, I like shoes, or whatever, the thing is?
Sure. Sometimes that can be video as a really good way to show who you are. Sometimes it's adding value. Sometimes it's if you do community outreach, or if there are things that you are involved with outside of your business, showing those activities. You know, showing what you believe in or you're passionate about. Really, when it comes to building a brand, it's people crave to have a connection with the companies where they work and do business with. And so understanding the personality behind the company is very important when it comes to your brand. So it's understanding, you know, what are your values, what are, and when I talk about video, it doesn't have to be something slick or something really highly produced, because I think a lot of times that's also what you think about. It can be you on your phone. I mean, it can be as simple as that. It's people getting that behind the scenes sometimes of what's really going on in your world and in your business. Maybe you're highlighting your employees. Maybe it's testimonials. What are other people saying about you? You know, so it's not just you talking about you. What are other people saying about you?
Right. Yep, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you. And then when you're looking at where to focus, so you can't be everywhere. You can't be on all of the social media platforms and do the email and do a workshop and all the things. How do you kind of narrow down where your people will be so you know where to target?
That's really where that understanding your ideal customer comes in. But there's also some tools that are out there to help you. I use one called Hootsuite that allows me to schedule out in advance to post on multiple platforms. There's other ones out there. I know that when you're using a third-party platform, Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, they don't like it as much because they like you just use their own platforms. But I do find that it helps you stay ahead. And especially if you are a smaller business and wearing multiple hats, sometimes it helps to use the technology. And so you're doing it one time and putting it out there and letting that app help you post on your behalf.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll let other people ask questions.
Hi, David. Oh, David, you are muted, or I cannot hear you.
I just want to say that I'm at the Bixby Chamber for the little co-working day thing.
Yes.
And I thought David was here. Like, he was here. And, and then I saw him and someone just was like, "Where's David?" And now he's allegedly in the car. So there he is.
We see him. I still don't hear you. Nope.
Yeah, it shows you unmuted, but it's not picking up your audio. Maybe it's connected to your car. Sometimes it does that.
I'm officially dying to know what his question is, though.
Definitely.
Are you able to put it in the chat if you're not driving?
All right. Well, while we were waiting for his burning question, what else? How else can I help you? I love technology until technology doesn't work.
I wanted to say, I don't really have a question because I've gone through this process more than once.
Yes.
So I thought it was really helpful just to get like the structure down again. But I wanted to say, I love that you do a standing webinar
Oh,
monthly. I think that's a really good just way to stay top of mind, but also to meet new people. And so I just thought that was really cool.
well, thank you.
Mhm.
Well, one of the things that I really like about this webinar series is being able to bring in other marketing experts. So I am a solopreneur by choice because I love creating marketing strategies and I love writing, but I know so many other experts in the field. And so when I need a web designer, when I need a graphic designer, when I need a photographer, I bring in the experts and create a strategy and create the team that we need to help reach those goals. And so I like featuring them on the webinar to share these things with you. Yes, David.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. So back to the identifying your ideal customer. So if I'm going to advertise, or if I'm going to looking on social media, how do I know if all my customers are on Facebook or if they're on Twitter, if they're on TikTok? I mean, is there a way to find out my ideal customer on, or if I'm want to advertise on radio, are they all listening to K-Hits or KRMG? How do I know, or how can I track that or find out?
All right. So that is where some research is going to come in. Sometimes it can be as simple as a survey to your current customers. I'm going to share some information later that will teach you how to do different types of research. So there's primary research, there's secondary research. So it gets a little technical there, but it can be surveys, it can be interviews, it can be going to the library, and the Tulsa Library and so many libraries have fantastic resources, especially for small businesses, to start looking up, about your specific target demographics. That'll start to have some of that information that you're looking for. I know if you are considering radio advertising, they have fantastic information about demographics. And they can tell you if you're trying to reach certain people of a certain age group, they can tell you which stations are most popular.
Okay.
Thank
you.
You're welcome.
So
As I say, Facebook also has tools that you can start diving into.
One thing that you can look at, if you have a website and you have Google Analytics implemented, if you turn on the audience demographics, they will very tightly advise you of where your customers have been besides your website and what their interests are. So you can get that information. You do have to have enough traffic to your website for it to register.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, if there are no more burning questions, then I'm going to share one more thing with you, which is what we are talking about in the spring. So the next two webinars we have coming up, the first one is going to be on January 20th, and Dominic Schultz is going to be joining us to talk about SEO. He's going to unlock the secrets of SEO, because this is an area that I don't know enough about, and I'm very excited to learn this and for your website and how it all works, and how much should you be spending for your business or not spending, and what can you do yourself, and so I'm very excited about that. The next one is in February, February 17th. We're going to be talking about building trust through video. So kind of to Camille's question about how do you what are the 4 ways that you can use video to build trust, and that could be for marketing, for sales, for education, several different ways that you can do that. And then if there is anything I can ever do to help you, please reach out. But really, I thank you very much for joining this today. And I hope that you all have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I look forward to seeing you all soon. Thank you all.
Great job. Thank you.